So, hello everyone. For anyone who's listening, I guess, because there's no video to this. Today we're going to be speaking with ScottsFace. So say hi, Scott.
Hi.
Jesus. All right, but so Scott doesn't know the particular topic, just like everyone else I've already interviewed. Um, so what do you think? What's your best guess on what you think our topic is going to be?
My deepest, darkest secrets.
Perfect. Nailed it. No, actually, the topic I had in mind for us is actually deals with tech. So PC building is
Oh,
our
okay.
topic for today. So yeah, so I'm pretty much gonna ask you two questions. We're gonna talk about uh, the first question for whatever time ends up happening, and then I'll ask you the second, and then that's it. All right.
hmm
So first question is, uh, how exactly did you get into PC building and why?
So I used to have this like really shitty laptop that was like literally about to blow up.
My life now.
Yeah. um, it was just a total dumpster fire. Honestly, it was a piece of crap. And my cousin who had also been into PC gaming since the mid '90s when like Windows 95 was a thing. Um,
Oh God.
he just I told him like sent him some recommendations of what I wanted to buy for a sort of PC and stuff. Um, and that's when he literally called me up and said like, "Look, I'll help you build a PC because that one you've just recommended is a piece of crap, and do not go for that." So to me, like being a gamer, even since like I was a kid, being into video games generally, just I didn't know how to approach like what in terms of what specs I would need to like play sort of more up to date games. So
Yeah.
um,
So for someone who's like brand new, like you were at the time, who you just wanted a computer to be able to run games and stuff like that.
yeah, so I always had like my own desktop at home, but it wasn't, it was always like off the shelf, bought kind of PCs, which weren't like, they kind of after about a year, they're just considered like an older piece of equipment. So, yeah, that's when my cousin turned around and said like,
Yeah.
well, I know you're into PCs, you played on PCs in the past with us, but
Yeah.
like let's build your own for the first time, and then you can just upgrade it as much as you like going forward.
Oh, so
Uh,
you had like someone who like smoothed you into the process.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like he was generally I had, my brothers and my cousins generally were all kind of gamers. I kind of was brought up with that generally, but I played a lot of consoles and stuff, and then it was up until my cousin just, being a massive PC gamer at the time, just decided to get me into it. And then he
Oh,
just
okay.
so we came to the sort of rounding up how much I could spend on it and, how much my mum would be willing to invest in it as well
Yeah.
to give me some money towards it. And yeah, I just generally got influence. Plus, as well, I mean, way before when I was about 12 to 13, I was playing a lot of Counter Strike. So on my
Oh, of
brother's
course.
like, yeah, exactly, and I mean, that was also on my shitty laptop as well. So you can imagine back then, that long
Oh God.
ago, it was just not sufficient anymore. I couldn't even play the oldest Counter Strike game, not even like the newest one. Um,
But
so
yeah, you see, but like for some people, sometimes like like when they get in their first computer, whether it's a desktop or a laptop, whatever it is, a lot of people, depending on the situation, like for me, anyways, it wasn't necessarily for gaming. It was more like, oh, I needed it for school, and I needed it to do work and stuff like that. And some people get it for games, and other people get it for like their careers or whatever the hell it is. So I didn't think too much of it because I didn't care for like specs and
yeah,
it looking good and stuff like that. But my very first computer was a desktop, and I think it was a Dell. I don't remember honestly, or I don't remember exactly the brand. but it run well. And the only games I would play on that was a game called Stronghold. I would play that on the computer,
Okay.
and I would only play website games. So like any games on Newgrounds, if you guys don't know what Newgrounds is, amazing website that if you're underage, you probably shouldn't be going to. But anyways, but yeah, I would play games like that. Just random games on websites. I wasn't much of a PC gamer. I was more of a console, like PlayStation, Nintendo 64, stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
like for me, I
yeah,
I grew up from about 5 years old when I first got a Nintendo 64 for Christmas, and then it was just all Nintendo consoles, PlayStations, Xbox, and then it just hit me as I got a laptop, saying I wanted to do initially, even though I played a lot of Counter-Strike back then and stuff, I was still playing a lot of consoles, and I felt like uh with having a laptop, I thought maybe
yeah,
I could go into the realm of playing PC games, but what I didn't realize is that when I bought it, it was highly considered something that was for gaming, but
yeah.
realistically, it was. I definitely got kind of like, let's just say, I definitely kind of got screwed over a little bit about how good it was, but it did serve its time. I mean, like for Counter
Yeah,
Strike
of
and
course.
some very very older titles as well. It did it, but then just as more games came out in terms of like, especially around the time of like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare and that type of year. Like it was around that time when I
Yeah,
started really building, and then yeah, it just generally it just opened it up so much in terms of like when I first built and just thinking that I'll just put a game on just to test it, and I was just amazed by how much I could
yeah.
push the hardware and everything that I had in it for how much I
But you
paid.
see, that being said, like, do you feel like, because like some people, if they're not, if it's not for gaming purposes, a laptop is sometimes more efficient just because you can use it. You can take it anywhere with you, whether it's school, work, outside, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's more easily, accessible to you, I guess. But for someone who is going to be doing stuff like streaming or gaming and stuff, there are people who do use laptops, like high-end laptops, like Acer, whatever it's called,
Mhm.
that have like crazy specs. But do you think it that compared to an actual PC, what do you think is better?
Well, I think laptop. I think it's hard to compare because I think laptops generally can have gaming potential, but I feel like now it's that yeah, you've got the whole real state of being able to take that laptop on the go, say if you're traveling, if you're commuting to work back and forwards every day, when you're in work as well, depending on what type of workplace you work in. But
Yeah,
yeah, generally you can take that laptop anywhere you go, and it's obviously it has as the same as a PC, you still have the general functions of other basic things like web browsing, social media. Um,
yeah, and for some, it's an energy efficient thing too. It's like, oh, I'm not going to be using it at home,
oh
so
yeah,
I'm not
hell
going to be
yeah,
using electricity or internet. I'm not going to be using it. Some people have that thing. Like for me, when I first got my laptop, that was one of my main things. It was like I don't want to use up uh, like electricity so much, and our internet was sort of limited, so you had to use whatever. But I was also in college, and I needed it to just make sure I can do work, like whether it was on the train ride over there, at at school, or just being at the library with my laptop and just being able to do that type of stuff. So
yeah.
but
With desktops,
going into gaming, it's like you kind of need a desktop in a way because it's just more efficient, in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but
I mean laptops nowadays, unless I think the only factor in it is the price. Is that you can pay top dollar for a for a highly capable gaming laptop that's specifically been designed for gaming in particular. And I mean, the this day and age, there's so compared to say like 10 years ago, there's way more options in terms of like gaming potential on laptops. I mean, to be fair, it seems that even a lot of people these days sometimes steer towards laptops just because you can take it around and also play games. But it's really dependent as well on what games you're going to play, or how you feel, say, 4 or 5 years down the line, what kind of games you're going to be playing in the future, whether you're just going to
Yeah.
stick to like esports titles, or like if you're going
You
to be
kind of
going
also
like,
run the risk of like if you do have a laptop of probably it's more of the risk of uh ruining it. Like you could be outside and for God helps you that laptop falls, it's fucked. Unless it's like in a really good cover case or something, whereas a PC, it's in your house, it stays there, it's not really going anywhere.
but yeah,
So unless something drops on it tremendously, or you spill water on it, or I don't know, whatever could fuck up a PC at that point,
I
you're
think
not
is
really risking it much.
I think as well is that you can troubleshoot and find a problem with a desktop better than a laptop generally, because you've got a PC in front of you. You can actually, especially if you've built it, you've built that, and if there's a problem with it, you can sort of test in different ways of what the problem could
Yeah.
be, and then figure out how it could be. Whereas, again, like with the price you pay for a laptop, with that potential risk at play as well, it's possible to fix a laptop, but it's certainly not the most user-friendly experience compared to having a desktop where you can literally
Yeah.
find out, is it a software problem, is it this part, or is it this part in my PC, that sort of thing. And I think as
Yeah.
well with desktops as well, as like as a comparison to being able to take it out on the go with a laptop, is that with a desktop, you kind of can build your own kind of, not just the PC itself, but you can kind of build your own kind of environments, like say if you've got a spare room where you've got like a study, you can like build your PC in a way that complements the room that you have it in, so you can have like a nice study, but you can make it really sort of futuristic, and like in terms of lighting and gadgets and
Yeah.
everything like that. I mean, the same with a laptop, but of course that the fact of a laptop is that you could take it away with yourself, and move it
Take it away
away
with
with yourself. Yeah, that's
it.
terrible wording.
But
uh,
okay, so then my second main question here to you now is, for somebody who has no idea about computers or PC building, or what to expect from it, I guess. What do you believe? What should they be looking for? Like, what do you think the best thing is for a newcomer
what when building a PC is,
when building one, buying one, whatever it might be? What do you think people should be looking into more importantly than anything else? Like, should it be appearance? Should it be the specs that it is? Should it be whatever it is?
I'm gonna say it's a mix of both. I'm not gonna
What do you
say
think the main one is then?
the main one. Personally, for me, because I've done it for so long, and I feel like as I've built PCs in the past, just as a off topic here, but as I've built PCs in the past, I've always realized that for the money I've spent, I've always built something a little bit overkill for my actual needs. So like there's games I play which just run no sweat on a PC that I've got because I've spent so much money, but then I kind of feel like, wow, I've kind of spent an awful lot of money on something that I'm not really using to its fullest, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So for me, it's it's about specs and overall balance. If you can have the
Your
two,
like your needs of what you're going to use the computer for.
exactly, because anything that's more, I think as well as that with specs comes like you can choose certain parts, and you can decide, you know, do you want to upgrade that in a few years' time? Do you want to, like, is your demand for certain things you do on it, like video editing,
Yeah.
streaming, gaming, going to become more demanding? Like, are you going to really be pushing it more to warrant an upgrade, like to warrant having a better upgrade in the
Yeah.
future? And I think I think it's general specs and part choices is the most important to me personally.
Yeah. So you see, for someone like me who doesn't really know that type of stuff, like for me, before we even built the computer that we built together, like I believe like the most important thing was, let's say, the graphics card, right? The video card,
Mm,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, like that, I thought that was it. Like I didn't think anything else mattered so long as it was compatible with that, and that was it. But then when we started actually building the PC and you started explaining, that about just each thing in particular, there's a lot that goes into it, into making a PC. Like it's not as easy as some people might think. They think it's just you pick a part and you're done,
Well,
you know?
this is the thing. You could have one part that's exceptionally quite weak in terms of how it performs, and then you could have another part which you've spent way too much money on, which isn't working to its fullest because of that other part you have. You know, the two don't balance each other out, if you know what I mean. They don't
Yeah.
work in like they don't work well with each other, and then that's when you realize that you're like, well, crap, I've spent literally hundreds of dollars more on this part, and I can't even use it to its like
Yeah.
fullest.
So
Uh,
that when you say that, some people, if they hear that, some people might get demotivated, where they get to the point where like, oh well, I don't want to buy something, and then I can't even fix it or use it or return it or whatever.
no,
I don't,
and I mean you can
that's demotivating.
no, yeah, of course you can still use it. It's not that's not a problem. You can still use it. It's but I think generally I think the expectation is that anytime you build a PC for the first time, there will be a you will look at it and it will work fine, and then you'll think, you know, oh, it was there maybe other ways I could have tried, you know, invested in different parts or tried different ways.
Yeah.
But no, I mean overall, it's not a bad thing. Like you were saying about the graphics card, and then you said you didn't realize the other parts mattered as well. They do, but like in terms of being demotivating, it's honestly like I think PC gaming as a whole now, especially this generation, is just so they've tried to simplify it in so many ways. Like it's so easy to just watch a video online. If you've got a certain how much money you want to spend, you can literally search up online, say, I want to spend this much on this PC. What can I get that's best for the money that I pay for?
Yeah.
And then you've got all these tech YouTubers, you've got all these PC building channels, which are just so like straightforward, and it's like it's essentially it seems demotivating at first, but once you just kind of spend that little bit of time just researching, you know, for a little bit of time, say like a few days, a few weeks, a month or two, like, and then you just kind of be like, oh well, okay, I've kind of got a good idea of what I want, and then it's easy. It's like it's easy, it's
Yeah.
straightforward.
And I mean, for someone who really wants a PC, or whatever it is that they might be needing it for, with a good amount of time and some research, even if it's like you could do this within a week. If you're really motivated, you could do this within a week, where you're just researching and find out what the best parts and this and that. That being said, it doesn't mean you need to spend like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a PC. Like I had a, but like me and Scott, we built my PC just recently, and my budget was $1,000 American, right?
Mm.
And we Scott did an amazing job at making this computer that works well, that runs games at a good speed and does all this stuff. But if your needs are like much less than that, or you're not going to be running a computer that's like crazy, like you don't need to spend that amount of money. It could be a lot less for all you know.
No, no,
you know
and I mean like again being disheartened or discouraged about making building a PC for the first time. Like take it from me, I had a shitty ass laptop. It was just rubbish, and it didn't run very. It ran okay, but it just after a while it just started to show its
Yeah.
age. But when I've built my first PC with my cousin, because I went over to his place, we built the PC together. It was honestly, I looked at all the parts and thinking I was excited. I was a little nervous at first, but as I got literally connecting one or two parts together for the first time, it was just the most easiest thing to do. Like it just, I mean, with a bit of guidance from him, he told me how to do everything and stuff as we were doing it. But like I said, it's this day and age, it's so easy to just go out and build a PC for quite little money these days as well. Like there's a lot of cheaper, more cost-effective things you can get, which are still good and still work just
Yeah.
fine. And you know, it's daunting and nerve-wracking at first, but once you start it, after like I can guarantee after like 10-15 minutes of doing the build itself, like you start really getting into it, and it's once you finished it, like the end result is just like you just yeah, like it's just amazing the
It's
feeling
like
when oh yeah, you get
endorphins
like
are just being released.
oh hell yeah, it's like a drug rush.
You
uh
see, and for something like this, right? Like there's always going to be that little bit of a fear factor where it's your first time. You're not sure if you're gonna fuck it up or it's gonna be smooth as whatever. But I think for someone who's brand new to it, um, I think once you get through to it, I think it just becomes like you're saying, like a great experience that you see the final result and you're just like,
w-
oh my god,
it's the
why
final
didn't I do this sooner?
it's the final result of building it and actually first powering it on. It's like that's when you get that rush, and then what makes it even better is that once you're into the PC and you start maybe installing a few games, getting a few games on, like start seeing how you can test the components you put in to see how it does. That's when you're like really like, well, like holy crap, like it,
Why
it
didn't you take my money before?
yeah, yeah. I mean, PayPal. No, but like it is. It's just generally, it's. I always recommend it. I don't. If anyone wants to go out and buy a laptop, that's fine as well. If they feel like they're out and
Yeah,
about.
like I said, it just all depends on their needs. Like if you're just using it for work and you only need to use it for web browsing and emails and maybe you need one software in there, then that might be the route for you because you might need it to go to places. Maybe you're at Starbucks, maybe you're at just doing work outside or something. But, laptops are good for that reason. Like I still have a laptop. I use it for many reasons, and it's so easy to just take it anywhere and just do something with it. But
Yeah.
anyways, that being said, somebody, let's say somebody who didn't even build a PC at all, right? They're out there looking for a computer. They don't even know that they could build a PC, right? And for whatever reason, they find out that they can. Would you say building a PC is better than just buying the computer already built? Is it cheaper? Would you prefer just getting the computer on its own already? Like, what do you think?
So when you buy
Someone like that.
when you buy a PC, you already know what comes in it, like in terms of what you're buying. Yeah, when you have a pre-built, um, and of course you get it costs more for if there's when you have a custom made one or pre-built, is that it's been it's been built by someone like in a factory, or it's been built by someone in particular who's then charging more for that service as well for that to be done. um I just feel
And
like
how much would a service like that cost in perspective? What would you think? Like if the parts you built, right? Let's say um, were
oh
$500, and that's how much it costs for that computer you just built, right? How much would they sell that $500 worth parts?
so if I bought a pre-built PC for about $500, I could imagine the actual parts in it that you if you got it yourself and bought it yourself, you could, yeah, I could imagine it would be easily about, say, 350 $400, maybe even lower than that, depending on the actual, unless you get like some sort of killer deal. But yeah, like
Yeah.
you pay extra for that service of it being built, and that's where more cost comes out of it. But when you build it on your own, you get to choose what part you want. You get to choose what am I going to use it for, how much I want to spend, how I want it to look. So do I want it to perform well, but also do I want to spend that extra money to make it look good as well? So in terms of
Yeah.
lighting, um, in terms of different colors, that sort of thing, generally how it looks.
Yeah.
Um,
So in like perspective, then someone who's building their own PC, they have more control over what's in it, what they want to do, what it looks like. You're saying. Whereas someone who's buying it, if you're willing to pay that extra $100, $200 or whatever it is that they're charging extra for it already built, then by all means, you can also do that. But I think because like think about it, there are individuals who, like, if they don't want to build a PC, they just want to buy it. They look at the specs of the computer. They're like, all right, this looks good. I'll pay the grand for it.
Mhm.
where they could have gotten that same computer with the same item, parts that computer has, and spent $200 less if they just built it on their own.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so I don't. I will say this, like I don't. If people want to go out and buy a pre-built that pre-built PC, that's fine. That's their decision. But 100%, I just feel strongly that it will bring more. I think
Joy.
well, yeah, you'll feel more of a accomplishment by building your own because you know that you've done all the research, you've kind of, and plus you learn something about it as well. You learn how the parts work together, and then say like in the future, say a few years down the line or 5, 10 years down the line, you decided, oh, I want to build a new PC altogether. Then you can do that because you've got the knowledge. Like say me, I've been building PCs since about about 2008. It's been you know since 2008 I've been building PCs, and it's just in terms
It's
of
2020 now, just in case. 12
yeah,
years.
12, yeah, 12, yeah. But like in terms of where I've come from, building my first PC, being so nervous about it, to getting to this point now of you know anyone who asked me to build them a PC, I'd be happily to do it, no problem. And it's just, I think it's, even if it's not even my PC to build, like it still brings me joy because it's nice to do it for someone else, and it's also nice to kind of teach people how to get
Why
into.
don't you do this as a job then?
You know what?
Like,
I ask that question every day.
oh my god.
Yeah, I should do. I have been thinking maybe doing of some sort of maybe looking into because it is big on social media, but maybe trying to go into some sort of social media platform for
Yeah,
PC building, and then kind of maybe building
I'm
PCs, but bringing my own sort of personal touch to PC building as opposed to just you know um, just building random PCs, just making them look like
yeah.
what people.
That would be cool though, because like you're already into tech, and your job revolves around that. So it's not like it's a huge thing for you where like someone who's like, let's say they're cooking, they're a chef. That'd be a whole different career choice, Or it's like, oh, I'm gonna start learning about computers now. For you it seems easier since you already know about computers. You work when it comes to tech stuff. So I mean it would be something that I think you'd be really good at.
Do you know what? My whole family's asked me this like for years, saying, "Oh, you're into PCs and that. Why don't you like start building them or like trying to do some sort of business?" I know it's a difficult business to get into, but like maybe just trying to, I don't know, just more. I think more. I just want to just share my passion of doing it as opposed to like
Yeah.
making a
But
whole
but
business out
people
of it.
always people no, it doesn't need to be a business, but people always say how, sometimes the smart thing to do too is like you have a passion for something, why not make a little money out of it? Where like I get that. It's like if you love something so much you do it for free and you're already doing that.
Yeah,
Whereas why now not benefit from it?
yeah,
It's making you happy, benefit from it to make sure that, other parts of your life are also being taken care of through your passion, you know?
yeah, yeah.
And, but yeah, but anyways, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I'm pretty sure there's so many more things I want to ask, and there's definitely other things we would love to talk about. But, yeah, that was it. That was PC building and computers and anybody who's, interested in that type of stuff. And yeah, you have any last words you want to say before we sign
Just
off here?
again, just PC building in general. If you want to build a PC, if you want to get into it and you want to know how it works and what what kind of things you can do or benefit from doing it, then yeah, just go for it. There's no harm in it. It's again, it might be a bit nerve-wracking at first, but like once you get past that initial point of nervous sort of the feeling of being nervous,
Yeah,
it's fine. There's no issues of it. And I think,
definitely something to cross off your bucket list.
oh hell yeah, hell yeah.
But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening in, and we're just gonna say our byes now. So bye.
Okay. Bye.